The beautiful, wonderful, talented Fiona Gazzard, professional witch, and to welcome her to the business spotlight so that I can talk to her about her business. And just talk to her about how the hell she arrived at professional witch, because this is the whole purpose of the business spotlight. I want you to see that there is a possibility for you to have your business and imagine it the way you want it. And yeah, it takes time. And yes, it takes effort. It's not always easy, as I'm sure Fiona and I are going to discuss, but it is possible. So, welcome, Fiona. I cannot wait to grill you.
Thank you, Elaine. One, you're too kind, and two, grill away because I love this kind of thing.
Whoop, whoop. I can't wait. I'm really excited. Okay. With no further ado.
There.
I think we're going to have a laugh. I
Oh
can't wait.
yeah.
Why did you decide to start your business? Tell me about it.
Well, I know we are slightly limited on time. There is a long story, and I'll try and compress it down. I find the greatest breakthroughs come when you're having the greatest challenges, because you kind of go, well, like life isn't working this way anymore, so I've got to do something differently. So you kind of hit a bottom, like a rock bottom. But from there, you've got the opportunity to really push up with your legs and reach new heights. So that's the kind of story we're talking about. So I had the typical, and every entrepreneur you speak to says, I was in the corporate world, in the rat race, doing the 9 to 5. That's where my story begins. And I was made redundant from a job that I actually quite liked in terms of jobs. I mean, I never did well in a job. It's a long story I won't go into. But I quite like this job. And they made us redundant. They closed down the site and merged it with one like 200 miles away. So we could either lose our jobs or relocate, which I didn't really want to relocate to where they were going. So I was like, okay, what can I do instead? So I tried other jobs, which actually sent me into a breakdown. I ended up with a narcissistic boss, and I ended up on the sick for a while. And in that space, I was like, well, I really don't want to go back into that environment that made me ill. What can I do instead? And so this idea emerged of building a business. And I was like, what can I do? I genuinely felt like I had no talent. And I think there's an important lesson in this. I felt like I had no talent, no skills, marketable skills that I could do a business around. So I actually built a business around my now ex-husband's website building skills. So I started in business as a web designer. So that's where I kind of cut my teeth in the business world. And I did that successfully for like 10 to 12 years before I then left my husband. And he still runs that business, and it's a 6-figure business. So um, I'm there like, okay, well, what do I want to do? And what I really wanted to do was to help people get out of that funk that I was in 10 years ago and do something for themselves and really believe in themselves. So I was like, well, I'm kind of a coach, but I never identified with that term coach. Everyone's a coach, right? And it's kind of a bit of a toxic term now, I feel at times. There's coaches and there's coaches. And so, like, what do I call myself? So I bimbled around for maybe a year or 18 months going, what do I call myself? I used the term coach. It didn't really sit well. And then I did a program for women with skills, magical skills, who wanted to turn that into a business. And it was a great little course. And one of those women was actually like a potions and lotions kind of witch. She was like crafts and herbs and that kind of thing. And I said to her, well, you're a professional witch. But she never felt able to use that term and run with it. So there's me with this term that I came up with. And people were saying, but Fiona, that actually really describes you. call myself a witch. Are you crazy? But a few people, you included, and I can say there were maybe 3 or 4 people that were saying at the time, why don't you just use it? I think it's great. I love it. I'm like, okay, sod it. So I actually started using it, created myself a little logo. And actually that's been the start of something that it's not where I want it to be yet, but it's a growing movement. So I've got my podcast, I've got my sister circle, I do client coaching. There's no other word for it, is there really? So yeah, I don't know if there's a direct answer to your question in there. It's in there somewhere if you listen closely, I'm sure.
No, it
But
is.
it was really like me sort of opening like a lotus flower, kind of like, no mud, no lotus kind of thing. So here we are. And I apologize if you can hear the clitter clatter of puppy feet behind me, but the dogs are fighting, and my partner is trying to contain them as best he can.
That's okay. That's okay. It won't be the first time or the last time that your
I'm
gorgeous
sure.
woofy puffs are involved in our conversations.
But Miska and Luna are very much a part of my brand, and anybody who
Yeah.
watches my live videos has seen them fight and play and all sorts of things. So, yeah.
Oh, amazing, amazing. That is such an interesting journey, and like the thing about becoming an entrepreneur is I feel is on that transition from corporate to entrepreneurship is that realization that it's wrapped up in your life. The more you can lean into who you are, the more successful you will be. And I don't feel like that in the corporate world you necessarily have to do that as much because there is a brand and
Mm.
you know
You can
other
hide
people are
behind
doing
it.
that job, of
Mm.
bringing business to the business. But when
Mm-hmm.
you are in charge of bringing people to your business, you've got to lean into exactly who you are in order for them to come towards you. So fair play to you for saying, oh, look, coach isn't really it. Um,
Yeah.
you are a professional witch and you do help people embrace their magic. So, and the reason you do is because of that insight on the tools that you use. So I just think,
Mm-hmm.
think it's wonderful. And so that leads me neatly to my next question. Because what I'd love you then to help me and anyone who's watching us to understand is, what is it like to work with you? So what do your clients say happens to them when you're working together?
Well, they tend to have a lot of light bulb moments about themselves and a lot of realization. Um, Things they didn't even really know that they needed to know. And so what I've been told ultimately is the result of working with me is getting unstuck. People come to me and they feel stuck, and I've had several people say, I don't kind of know what exactly you do, but my intuition is telling me to work with you. And I love that because you must trust your intuition at all times because it is never wrong. Okay. The times, now let me ask you and the listeners this. How many times have you kind of known what you needed to do about something, but not trusted your intuition? Asked somebody else and they said, do this, which is not what you intended or wanted to do. And then it's gone to absolute effing shit. And you go, if I'd done what I wanted to do, the result would have been very different. So please take that to heart and always follow your intuition. You know what you need to do.
Mhm.
And the day that you say, do you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I want to do. That feeling of anxiety that you get in those situations, it just goes away. There have been times in my life when there was drama kicking off around me, and I've gone, do you know what? Do you know what? You lot can carry on, and I'm just going to go over here and do my thing and progress with my life. And I don't care. I'm going to it's like Mel Robbins has got this new let them theory she's writing a book about, and she's a great one to follow. Just let them do their thing and withdraw yourself from it. So what was the result? People become more themselves. In my work, and part of my witchcraft is I connect to the client's higher self. So that higher self is giving me the messages, and the cards are coming out for that higher self. And so the person then starts really connecting with that and listening to their inner guidance. That is when people start to really thrive. And it was when I listened to my inner guidance that things started to take a turn for the better. So, yeah. And sometimes the universe actually puts bloody great big roadblocks in the way if you're doing something you really should not do. And you need to pay attention to those. Don't hammer those roadblocks down. Think, is this here for me to go this way? Or is this actually just something for me to go around so I can learn other lessons before I get to where I need to go? That's the long answer. You get the long answer with everything.
No, I love it. No, this is amazing. I love it because it is from the outside looking in at your business. That's exactly what I think. That's I suppose my talent is seeing other people's potential and helping
I
them
think
communicate
a
it.
good coach, a good guide, mentor, that's what they do. They see the potential in another person, isn't it? It kind of takes it a step further with what I do, and it's because I've not just got this kind of intuition in the tarot cards. I've also got like 12 years in business before building successful businesses. So there's a lot. People think I'm very woo-woo, and yes, I'm a Cancerian with Pisces moon, so very intuitive, watery. But I've also got Taurus rising, Venus, Mars, and Chiron, apparently. And anybody who listens to the first episode of my podcast will hear all about other aspects of my chart, which are really fascinating because we have the cosmic witch on there. So there's a lot of groundedness in what I do as well. So things will come up, and then, you know, all this advice will come through that sorry, dogs fighting them.
That's okay. That's okay.
That kind of it's very practical as well.
Yeah. No,
So
I don't think you're even woo-woo adjacent. You're fully woo-woo, but we're not one thing. You know what I mean? I feel like the world you know is so used to and needs people to kind of wrap things up in a ribbon for them, and that's okay. That's okay from a communication perspective, but the reality is we're not two-dimensional. We are good, we're bad, we're complex, we have different skills, we bring our experience to to fruition with our clients. So I love it. I love what you said, intuition. And I'm scribbling here. I'm like, oh, that is so interesting. And also I wrote down Mel Robbins' book because I'm also a fan. But connecting people to their higher self, I think that's fascinating. Because I think, like I said, the more you are in order for your business to succeed, equally, you're right. The more you can connect people to being themselves, gosh, like it just gets rid of that exhaustion that people feel. And I felt it carrying around this personality, this persona that you think that other people need you to be. And the more you can just be yourself and stop people pleasing.
Totally. I mean, being this
happier you will be, you know, so good for you. Is there a common issue then? Or like do people come with lots of different issues to when they work with you?
Really, there's not one single thing. People, you know, all the coaches will say, what's your niche? Who do you help? And it's like, well, I've tried to niche, and then I get people who are so far outside that niche come to me for help that I'm like, okay, well, it's really impossible for me to say I help blah 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 women who blah 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 in the blah blah blah. Like, for example, I had somebody message me and has booked a session who I went to school with. I haven't seen this woman for 30 years. And yeah, she's like, well, I'm not a business person, but I like what you do, and I just feel stuck. Is this something you can help with? I'm like, absolutely, come on in. You know, like, I love helping people get unstuck, because that's where I was. I was stuck, and I had to get out of the mud. and it's a bit of a process, but sometimes, you know, I can chuck you a rope and give you a tug out of the quicksand. And yeah, if I can get people back onto dry land so they can go, oh, okay, what now? And then I'll go, come on, this way, you know. I love metaphors, so I do a lot
Oh,
of
this is great.
metaphor
And to be honest,
stuff.
that's your niche, Fiona. Like, to be honest with you, like you already have a niche. Like you're a professional witch. Like that's bloody niche, love, you
My
know?
niche is me, not my
Like,
client,
yeah,
effectively. You know,
no,
I'm like
no,
the village wise woman. You go to
like
me, full
honestly, it's
court.
enough. It's enough of a niche just to be offering services as a professional witch to help people become unstuck. You've got a niche, that's it. You know, I
There we go.
always say that there are two ways to niche. One is what you described. I help this kind of people to do this, so that. Grand, that is a niche, but not everybody like you and me have that cohort that they focus on.
No.
My clients are all incredibly different, but they all have a common issue with visibility.
Mm,
And with you, it's the magic, it's the insight, it's the intuition, it's the unstuck. That's your niche. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So you do have a niche. Oh, I hate to break it to
That's
you.
interesting because in my web design business, again, I didn't help one particular type of client, but the brand niche was simple websites, simple, effective websites, blah, blah, blah. And actually that theme of simplification is also what I do here, because people go, well, I can't do that because blah blah, and all this like peripheral nonsense that's happening in your life. And actually, you know, cut it away, come back to you, what is going on with you and what do you want, and let's work from that. And everyone else, if they have a problem with that, that is their problem. And those who are really meant to be in your life and who love you and support you, they will love you and support you. Problem
Amazing.
solved.
Yeah. Honestly, like, oh, I just feel like you're a hidden gem. And well, I've been talking about that recently. And I just don't want you to be a hidden gem anymore. I just think you're wonderful. Like, you know, the world needs you, Fiona. The world need more people need to work at you. Tell me, I mean, I feel I'm getting more of an answer to these questions as we go on. I'm like, I feel I know the answers, but I still have to ask them because it may not be what I think.
Yeah, and
But
more things may come out. So you
right, yeah. What part of your business is your favorite part? What part is the part that you go, oh God, I love that.
know, it's hard. I love my client sessions, and I will always do one-to-one client sessions. And all these coaches advise, oh no, do group programs, don't do one-to-one. It's a time for money. I kind of don't care about the time for money thing, because for me, seeing people like blossom is the key. And I think the most effective way of doing that is one-to-one, undoubtedly. I love my sister circle, obviously, and that's a one-to-many type of environment. But I have to say, like, doing my podcast has really lit me up. And I launched the third episode went out this morning, and that's with Beth Thomas, the ADHD witch. And I am loving doing those. And that is like tapping into a real childhood desire. Um, it's one of those things like growing up, I had these, I really wanted to like help people, make them happy, entertain them, all of that kind of thing. And so the traditional route, like 40 years ago, was like, oh, be a performer, go to stage school, dance. And I loved all of those things, but I grew up in a council house in like a very poor family. So the perceived wisdom was get a job. You're not going to be an actress, you're not going to be a singer, dancer, because it's too competitive and you won't. It's like, well, hang on, it may be competitive, but people do succeed at it, but you've got to kind of go and do it anyway. So all of that was like squish, squish, squished. So, but did I want to be a child star? No. Like that's like one of the most awful lives ever, right? So no, not me. So here I am, like the universe has led me on this journey, and now I'm sort of, I've got something to say now, which I didn't have when I was a child, and that's much more fulfilling to say something that helps people to thrive, and that's what I love. So the best part about my business is seeing people thrive. And that's ultimately what lights my fire every day, all day long. I love it when, even when I just do a Facebook Live card reading, which I'm doing in my group later on. Do you know what I mean? When they say, "Oh my God, yeah, no," just on a Facebook message is Facebook comments is all the communication tools I've got with them, and I can still connect with the higher stuff. I can still find the answers they want just very, very quickly. Obviously, it's very surface level, and you can't go too deep in that, but if it's just giving somebody an answer that they need to just tweak what they were going to do, that's cool. That's good. But I love doing my podcast. I love doing that. Like, so my first one with the Cosmic Witch, a friend of mine messaged, said, I really, really love doing that. Loved listening to that. It was really entertaining. And I've got a new dog and I needed a name for him. So I'm going to call him Chiron, which was something that we discussed in the episode, and shorten it to Kai, which is perfect. It's a Malinois. So can you imagine a Malinois called Kai is like, it's so cool. And that happened because of my podcast. I'm like,
Good for
yeah.
you. Look what change you're inspiring in people, left, right, and center. Yeah, like I'm getting celebrity vibe from you. I had this dream of being Wogan. That tells you how old I am. As a child, I just used to be like, oh gosh, I'd love to be Wogan, not on Wogan, but be Wogan, and here we are. Not quite Wogan.
But you're much more
I
attractive.
don't have the hair for it, you know. I have the Irish charm, but just not the other.
Strangely enough, I was on YouTube last night watching old Michael Parkinson videos. Yeah. Strangely, strange what rabbit holes you go down, isn't it? But
yeah,
entertaining.
yeah. Oh, listen. So I can see how that, like, yeah, it just feels like you want to help more people, but yes, like you really, like you're doing everything that you enjoy then. So good for you, Fiona. That's what I want people to be inspired by the business spotlight, to see there isn't one path, you know, there is no silver bullet, you know. It's the same in marketing. People feel, and a lot of bro marketers, say, oh, well, this is the way to success. It's bullshit. There is no one path to success. There are many paths, and it has to be aligned with you as a person, because otherwise you won't go through the mud, as you say, to get to your vision of success. And success is different for everybody. Anyway,
yeah, and those well, just to waffle for a very short period, those pro marketers, the problem with that, it's all very well and good to have a cookie cutter framework. This is how you make your business successful, but most people come into that and they don't truly know what their business is supposed to be. And actually what I do, several people have come to me to like supercharge one of these kind of coaching programs. So they don't truly know where their business is and what their superpowers are. And working with me helps to do that. So I've got somebody I've been working with who's writing a book, and she's got a book coach, but she needed me to help guide her through the emotions that were coming up when writing this very raw and real story. And actually doing that has navigated with the direction of the book that she's writing as well. So, and that's going to be a really exciting one. Do you know, like when that book comes out, I'm going to be sitting there going, oh my God, I'm so proud. Like I had a piece in that message, because, you know.
Absolutely. Like you're part of the creation, you know? So the creative process. Oh my God, there is no limit to how you can help people. Okay, let's step away from you for a second. Just for a second. You already mentioned Mel Robbins. I'm always interested to hear from other people so that I could learn something. In business, like who inspires you? Who are you like, oh gosh, that is so interesting?
I think my answer is going to quite confuse some people, because I think people think I'm very like woman power and all of this. Actually, I'm very human power. And largely I do like I have my sister circle, so that's like female only thing, but I do work with men as well. Anyway, so obviously Mel Robbins, she inspired me actually to do my podcast. One, because she has a podcast, but she did this free course about making things happen. And as part of that, I decided now is the time to do my podcast. So definitely Mel Robbins. If you're not listening to Mel Robbins, she's got books, she's got podcasts, like get into her world because she really is motivational. But other people, actually, I do have a big interest, because if you read my website, it talks about my father and his journey, and he was actually a bodybuilding coach. So from a very young age, I've been interested in physical health, and so like exercising, nutrition, all of these things. And what somebody who has really inspired me is Sean Stevenson, and he's got the Model Health Show podcast, and he's written Sleep Smarter and Eat Smarter. Because whatever you do, if you're not eating and sleeping right and exercising and doing the things to keep this vessel, this kind of organic car that we travel around in, if that isn't good, you're going to struggle with all the other stuff. So, and a lot of my clients struggle with sleep, and so part of what I do then is, if I identify that, we look at how we can make their sleep better. So there comes in the practical side. So Sean Stevenson is great. The other thing, the other person is a guy called Brian Johnson, who's a philosopher, and he's founded the Heroic enterprise, Heroic Public Benefit Corporation, which I'm studying along to do their coach certification. So there's the sort of coach side, but that's really there's a lot of wisdom in that. And he's a philosopher who brings wisdom into practical everyday life. And actually, if anybody's interested in looking into the Heroic movement, there's a great app that helps you to be a better person. So actually, I've got a link. When I send you my links, I'll send you my link to check that out as well. So
Definitely,
yeah,
I'll put
actually,
it.
a couple of guys, really. But yeah,
Yeah, but that's good. That's good. I'll share the links. It will be around the video. Never know where, depending on where we are.
somewhere
Up
that
or
way, that
down,
way,
up or
that way, that
down,
way,
up or
maybe there.
down.
Yeah.
Awesome. Tell me, what advice would you give a new business on how to find clients? You know, that's something that people really struggle with. And I really want to hear that from you, because your area is so non-typical. So where do you find clients?
Well, clients can come from anywhere, and they literally sometimes just fall out of the sky when you least expect it. But what I would say is, as a new business, you can feel quite afraid of putting yourself out there. And one thing I can testify to is that when you take a bold, brave action, that yields the results. So when, for example, back in the early days of my web design business, I was really just finding my feet, and it was in the very early days of the internet in terms of what we know today. Like now, you just go on Google and find something, but this was still like, there was still a Yellow Pages in existence back then. So one that you could actually stand on to change a light bulb as well, not this tiny pamphlet that you
I
sometimes.
remember.
It's not just here for the nasty things in life, you know. So showing my age. J.R. Hartley, etc. Anyway, what was I saying? See, this is where I ramble sometimes. So
Take bold, brave action.
Because one of my corporate roles was telesales. So I thought, you know what? Let's pull some of that in and let's reach out to some people. So I literally went through the local newspaper and found people who were advertising, Googled them. If there's no website, I was like, pick up the phone. And I phoned these people and I said, hi, yeah, blah, blah, blah. You're advertising. So they're advertising, so they want more business. So they were completely in the target market, local small businesses. Have you ever thought about having a website? And starting a conversation, and I was never pushy about it. I hate being pushy. I was never, this is why I was always a bit crap at telesales, because I was not pushy enough. So I was a bit like that. So, but what I was always good at was building relationships. So just getting on the right side of people and like saying, oh, you know, I really love what you say, and it's a really cool business. But you know, we're moving into an age now where, anyway. So there was a lot of fear behind doing that or not doing that. So when I stepped beyond that comfort zone, that's when stuff started to happen. And every time you need to make change in your life, when you're feeling stuck, you do need to do a little bit of something that you're afraid of. Not like massively, it's not like don't go and run and jump off a cliff, or even though the full card is somebody falling backwards off the cliff. But you've got to do something that makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable, but something that feels aligned as well. So not doing stupid actions that feel uncomfortable because they're stupid, but doing something that is like just a little bit, all of those noises.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant advice. Brilliant advice. I love this. It's so everyone that I talk to has different advice, like dramatically different.
Well,
I
because
love
there's
that.
not
I
one
love
way to
that.
do anything,
It's so good. It's so good. And I love sharing. This is why I do this, because there is no one way. You've got to do what's right for you. And yeah, and you can succeed. And I love it. I've written it down. Bold, brave, action. Love it. Love it.
aligned,
Love it.
bold, brave, aligned action.
And we added aligned. I love it even more. I love it even more. Tell me then, what was the best advice either you received or that you have, having gone through your experience as a business owner, that got you to the next level? Now, I know at the top of this interview, you were like, I'm still finding my feet, I'm still growing. It's grand. But we're all, and one of my messages to everybody who's watching is that we're all on a journey. Whether you literally came up with the idea for your business yesterday, or you have hit 6 figures, or you've hit 7 figures, or you've decided to become a not-for-profit, whatever the hell point you are in your business, you're still always progressing. So like what advice do you have for somebody that you just kind of go, well, look, when I look back, I learned this. If there's any moments that you could identify and go, oh, well, yeah, that was interesting.
So other than the stepping into this kind of identity that feels really good for you, and doing something that feels really aligned, a purpose that you can believe in, when you've got that, you can take that anywhere. You can drive that car anywhere you want. But the key thing to building any business is relationships. It's about building. I mean, we met through networking.
Yeah.
And if it weren't for that networking organization, I wouldn't have met very many people that I've ended up working with and who've referred people to me, and people that you would never believe. You might meet somebody who like, there's no way they're like a target client or whatever, but then they might talk to somebody 2 days later and so, and they, well, you need to talk to Fiona. She's the person. So early on in my web design company, I met with a woman who was very seasoned in business, and she invited me along to my first ever networking event, the local Chamber of Commerce meeting, which was a bit clicky and all of that. But they say networking takes time, but I remember walking into this meeting. You know me, Elaine, always late for everything, right? But fashionably so. So there was this Chamber of Commerce meeting. I did not know what to expect. I rocked up. I was like, come straight from another appointment, like a doctor or something. Rushed in. I walk in and there's like a room full of people. There's like maybe 100 people in this room, maybe 50 people, maybe 100 people is a bit much. Maybe 50 to 100 people in this room. I'm there, jeans, hadn't brushed my hair, not a scrap of makeup on. Sorry, creep in, sit down right at the front. There's the only seat left in the entire room. Somebody is doing a presentation, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, oh, introduce yourselves. And I'm at the front corner. So, oh, would you like to start? Like, first meeting, talk about a baptism of fire. So I stand up and I'm like, well, hi, yeah, I'm Fiona, web design, blah, 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 blah. And I just told people what my values were in the business. Thank you very much. Sat down, thought, that's over, you know. And then so like 20 minutes later, everyone said their pitch. And there were maybe 3 or 4 other web designers in the room. And I'm like, oh, well, this is going to be fun then, isn't it? Because they're going to, and they were all very like, they were suits and their little clipboards. Well, they're going to get all the business, aren't they? Anyway, so then you break for coffee. And I literally had a queue of people waiting to talk to me. These other guys went home early because they were salaried kind of little teenage bods. And I picked up 3 clients in that meeting, my first ever networking meeting. And it's every time, Elena, I skid in sideways, late for something, and I've not got time to be this polished professional. I'm totally authentically myself. That's when I end up having the most success with things. So yeah, just like kind of get used to being outside your comfort zone. Because you're going to spend a lot of time outside your comfort zone in business, and the sooner you suck that fact up, the better. And yeah, get comfortable with it, really.
Brilliant advice. Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. Tell me, my mantra is, act like a human on social media, like, and preferably a kind human. Do you have a mantra?
If you're an a-hole, don't.
Yeah. Well, I suppose act like yourself, but you'll like attract like, is what I always say.
Indeed. A-holes together, please. Thank you very much.
Tell me, do you have a mantra? I'm listening to some of them as you're talking to me, but do you have something that you live by or that you bring into your business?
Oh my goodness, like one mantra?
Doesn't have to be. What comes to mind?
No, I don't think there is like one rule to life. There are many. But ultimately, be yourself is probably the key for everything. If you're trying to be something else, it's not going to work. That's the fact. Or
Yeah.
it might work to a degree, but it's never going to be authentically the thing. You know? The web design business was a great sort of training ground for me, but it was never like me. It was for my ex. It was his business, really. But I mean, actually, all I was doing with that was creating a job for him. I did all of the business things. He created the website. So he just jumped from his job with the council into a job in the business that I created. But he's running it himself now and doing his own learning curve. And I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Completely like unknown world.
Yeah, good for you. But like you've done it before, so now you're doing it we are taking your bold, brave, aligned action for yourself now, and you're more aligned to what you're doing. So you're going to have greater success, and you've had that success before, so you're going to have it again. That's what I say. That's what I say.
Success leaves clues. Find somebody who's doing what you want to be doing and just learn from them.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Tell me, what's the dream for your business in the next year?
In the next year, well, I want my podcast to go international, which kind of already is, because my stats show that people in America watched it, France, UK, obviously, that's my client base covered. But yeah, I want the podcast to go crazy. I feel like, and people tell me I've got a very strong message, and so I want that message to go to as many people as possible, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing the podcast. I would like to have guests on who are like internationally known household names. That would be amazing if I can get, like, one day I would love Oprah. She's like the ultimate professional witch, right? So I would love for Oprah on my podcast, but somewhere between me and Oprah as well, like, Brene Brown. How amazing would that be? Somebody, I want to kind of get to interview with more people and be on more people's things. So if anybody's looking for podcast guests or whatever, then would love to discuss that. And just about getting the message out, really.
Yeah.
That we're actually all amazing, and especially those of you who are sitting there going, everyone else is amazing, but I'm not. No, you are also amazing. The problem is you've either not found what it is you're amazing at, or you already know what it is, but somebody has told you you can't do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm going to try not to swear because we're on a professional platform. But
No, swear away, swear away. It's me.
okay. Somebody who tells you can't do what it is you want to do, fuck them.
I actually feel psychically they were the words. I knew that was what was coming. I was like, oh, fuck them.
Come and talk to me, and I'll tell you how you can do what it is what you want to do.
Yeah,
and that's the end of it, really.
Yeah. Look, there is the world of possibility. At the moment, obviously, my daughter is 6, going on 7, so we watch a lot of Disney movies. And so Encanto is one of our favorites, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they're a magical family, and they have been given this magical gift, and each of them is bestowed a particular gift. And they have like a ceremony, and at the ceremony, when they open the door, their room displays their magical gift, and they all have different ones, except for this one child. When she went to open her door, the door disappeared. And so she has no gift, and it's a huge controversy in the family. Anyway, of course she has gifts. And so at the end of the film, spoiler alert, at the end of the film, the grandmother realizes this and goes, you know, actually, you are enough. You are enough as you are. The magic is not the important part. The gift is not the important part of you. You are what matters. And that is what I think is so important for us all to understand, that we are all enough, no matter whether we are neurotypical, non-typical, no matter how we show up in the world, in our body, our abilities. Just being a human being is enough.
I love that. And I've not watched a lot of these Disney films, and there's been some great ones. I've only in the last couple of years watched Frozen.
Look, thank God. Look at you. Like,
to all those parents going, I've seen it 20,000 freaking times. No, well, actually, I really loved Frozen. The first time I watched it, I cried. And but my ex, he hated Disney films. So, and if you tried to watch something that he didn't like, oh my God, you didn't hear the film for all the complaining going on in the corner. So out of that environment, thank you very much. Yeah, no, and I don't have children. So
no, that's fine. You need to watch Encanto. Trust me, you will enjoy.
It sounds like I do.
You need to watch Encanto. It is beautiful. Anyway, last question. How can people work with you? Like we've talked a little bit about it as we've gone, but now lay it out. Lay it out, baby.
Okay, so I'm going to go from the free options up to the so up to infinity. So how you can get a flavour for more of me is my podcast. Obviously, there's 3 episodes to binge on so far. You can go to my website and read all about me and download my free journal prompts to unlock your own magic. Then you could join my sister circle, which the lovely Elaine is a part of. And information on that is also on the website. You can book a one-to-one session with me. The link for that is also on my website, and it's FionaGazzard.com. You're not going to forget that. So those are the ways to step into my world and get a piece of it for yourself. I mean, I have clients who work with me 1 session a week. They pay me on a monthly basis to have weekly sessions to guide them through a particular thing in life, like the woman who was writing a book. So those are the simple ways. Go to FionaGazzard.com and all will be revealed.
Perfect.
I haven't put my podcast links on yet.
I'm going to put that link here. And
I'll give you the links to my podcast as well, and a couple of other links that I've mentioned earlier. So
Amazing, amazing. And what I would say to everyone is Fiona writes a great email, so get on her list.
yes, well, if you download those journal prompts, you get on
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And I have done one of Fiona's journaling workshops, and it was brilliant. Um,
mhm,
and I am in her sister circle, which is
you
great.
are. Oh, I
So,
almost forgot. I'm doing my North Star sessions. So this is 3 sessions effectively for the price of 2. And if you're like feeling all at sea and you've lost sense of direction, the North Star sessions aim to recalibrate your direction. So
love it.
yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. Thank you so much, Fiona Gazzard, for your time, for your story. I hope you all feel so inspired and that you're inspired now to take some bold, brave, aligned action. And if you need help with that, reach out to Fiona Gazzard. She's everywhere. Certainly very active on Facebook and even there in the place I love, LinkedIn. So go and reach out to her and you will find her there. Thank you so much
Thank you, Elaine.
for joining me.
It has been such fun, and yeah, can't wait to listen back and see what rubbish I came out with. So
All gold, all gold, all
golden.
magic, all magic. Thank you so much. Bye.